Hey, everybody, welcome to another episode of the Hang Up. I'm Matt Dillahunty. You're here. This is, my thingy. I'm doing stuff. I'm actually making an adjustment to my screen because I don't see anything other than my face on the output, which is just wild. So, hey, hope you guys are doing well. Yeah, I don't have any lower third or nothing. Welcome to my continuing year of Zen. It's amazing. I'm not going to yell at you. I probably will use profanity just because I enjoy it, but I'm probably not going to cuss you out. Uh, you're not going to rile me up, although you can evidently make me cry and you can hurt my feels. Um, but I'm here and I have lots of questions about your religious beliefs, your political beliefs, your supernatural beliefs, your moral beliefs, and more. So call in and tell us what you believe and why you think we should also believe it. For clarity, we're looking for people to call in and explain to us what they believe and why they think we should also believe it. If you just want to come in and, give a book report on something you read or tell us about what you believe and offer zero defense of it or engage in some kind of jargon-filled Philbro thing, I mean, I can't promise what kind of response you're going to get if you're not going to engage honestly, but let's just be clear. If there's callers out there, if there are people out there who, for example, I was a Christian. Here, look, I even have a hat I could put on it and pretend if you want me to. I did an entire 4-hour session of Bible reading and teaching yesterday, and that's not a joke. I just happened to do it as an atheist and put together a great video on most of what happens in Second Samuel, which is some of the most messed up garbage. Let me tell you, the God of the Bible is the head of the most dysfunctional family and is the reason that all of this stuff goes wrong. I did a talk in Australia called Why Won't You Love Me? I put on a bathrobe and pretended I was God and kind of walked through how the Old Testament is a comedy of God's errors. He creates a garden for two people, that goes wrong. He ends up flooding the entire world except for 8 people. That goes wrong. He picks his chosen people. That goes wrong. It's just this constant, oh, why won't you love me? I keep picking people and they won't love me. By the time you get to Second Samuel, you've already had Saul as God's handpicked king, just can't obey. He doesn't disobey a whole lot. When God tells him to go kill all of the Amalekites, he does most of that. He just managed to keep their king alive, and that really irritated God. So God decided you can't be king anymore. You've just disobeyed too many times. And so we set David up, and that's where we start getting into the story that I was talking about. But the point is, I can go through that and read it and understand it. And one of the things I mentioned is that once upon a time, I mean, I've read the Bible many times. I was a Christian. I was going to be a preacher. I've walked through this, but it's shocking to me how I can go back now and read things I've read before and see things completely differently. And it's because your religion, yes, yours, manages to pollute your brain to where you cannot see or think clearly. You have hidden, flawed assumptions. And so even when you're reading something that's absolutely awful, you will bend over backwards to make excuses for it. It doesn't matter if it's misogyny, genocide, slavery, whatever it is. If you are already convinced that, oh, there's a God and that God is good, then anything that comes from that God is good, it colors your perception of that. So I went through Second Samuel out there. But if you can explain where we're wrong about that stuff, if you can explain why we should also believe there's a God or something supernatural, anything like that, we'd love to hear it. Like I said, I'm in my kind of year of Zen. So the big issue here is we're going to be pausing and possibly interrupting and asking questions because we want clarity. And if you say something that we disagree with or that we don't understand, we're going to have to ask you to clarify that. And this isn't a race. I guarantee you, just go watch recent clips. You will get to say so much more if you do 2 things. Speak clearly and briefly so that there's time for a back and forth. And the second thing, are we far enough in for me to drop an F-bomb? We are. The second thing, answer the fucking question that we asked. We're not trying to trick you, but there is a reason we ask certain questions. Some of us have done this for a long time. I've been doing live call-in shows for 22 years. I'm going to get it wrong, but I often know exactly the question to ask to direct the conversation in a way that's going to be better for you to have the best chance to make your case. If I ask, why should we believe the Bible, for example, and you don't have an answer to that, we're probably not going to get too far. But if you have some answer to it, which is, I just find it reliable based on blah, blah, blah. Even if we disagree with you, that moves the conversation forward. Pretending that it's silly for us to ask why we should trust your source isn't going to move the conversation forward. So I will say in the news, because I've often covered news stuff at the start of the show, Mitch McConnell is still being Schrodinger's senator. Who knows if he's alive or dead? Who knows if he's able to function or not? Who knows if the messages that are coming from inside the House are coming from him or his wife or his team or what? It is absolutely shocking that after like 60 days, we have gotten, we have more information on hostages, not just like a picture with a newspaper thing that might be AI. You could do a quick video message. You could show us just how adept your mind is, Senator. You could show us and give us a demonstration that, hey, you're struggling because you failed, but you are able to have all these conversations on the phone that all these people say they're having with you. There was a guy said he talked to you for 17 minutes and you talked about the history of the vice presidency and all kinds of stuff like that. That's really interesting, Mitch, but bear with me for a second. I don't think an 80 some odd year old dude who's been in the hospital for 60 days without actually communicating effectively to let people know that he's capable of doing the job or that he's willing to do the job that we're currently paying him to do. And as he soaks up the health care that he denies everybody else, I don't think your best interests are served by having conversations about the history of the vice presidency with some other senator and never mentioning why you're in the hospital, how you're doing, when you're going to be back to work, if you're going to be back to work. And it's really curious that all this is happening because the deadline, if he's actually dead, which I'm not convinced he is, but I'm convinced he's as close to dead as anybody gives a shit about. If that were to happen and they would have to replace him, the deadline for that's August 3rd. And I find it really strange that we're so close to this deadline. And no matter how many times the governor keeps asking for, better proof of life and better proof of competency and some kind of update, we get next to nothing. And it seems like they're pushing it out. And I guarantee you will hear something significant about Mitch McConnell on August 4th. When they no longer have to stall, that's when they'll make the call. Also, Trump did a stand-up routine at the Correspondents' Dinner. And let me tell you, it is genuinely the funniest thing you will ever see. Not because he's funny or his jokes were good. No, it's funny because it was so pathetically unfunny. He blamed his writers, explained obvious jokes, complained about him. That's the only good joke in there, and even that one didn't get a laugh. Not commented on how he wasn't getting a laugh. Was just stupid and mean and rambled like he always does. Trust me. I think Seth Meyers did coverage of it. I know Jon Stewart did coverage of it. I'm pretty sure Jordan Klepper did coverage of it. All the late night comedians were having a field day because this guy doesn't even understand the basics of the punchline. I think Jon Stewart put together a clip where it's like he set up the punchline of the joke, then rambled for 3.5 minutes about all kinds of other stuff, and then came in for a fucked up version of the punchline, essentially. And so, yeah, that's what's been going on. I, though, am preparing for NanoCon this coming weekend. If you're in the Nashville area and you want to go hang out with a bunch of other nuns, NONE nuns, like, hey, what religion do you have? None, those type of nuns. That's what NanoCon is about. And I'm going to tell you, if you were holding off and waiting for like the last minute to pick up your tickets and stuff, you're probably out of luck. I just got off the phone prior to this with the organizer. They have like a handful of tickets left. So if you were wanting to go to NanoCon and you were like, oh, we'll just show up and get tickets at the door, that may or may not work or be possible. I would recommend, and genuinely, if my math is correct, it's like a dozen. You can go to nanocon.rocks and find out what's going on there and how you can actually get tickets. I will be there. I'm doing a magic show Saturday evening. And let me tell you, despite the fact that I toured with a magic show, 10 cities in Canada and 10 in the United States, and I've done lots of smaller ones, this is probably the biggest one-man magic show I've done in my entire life, both with the size and number of things. Like, the only thing that it wouldn't play Vegas because I don't have tigers. That's probably the only reason. Other than that, we're going to have a lot of fun. I'm also going to do a panel on Sunday, but I have also stopped following a lot of left-leaning independent news sources. So I didn't have as much news to bring you today because I am so sick of tuning into YouTube for, oh, it's the end of Trump every day for 10 years now. Oh, this will definitely end it. Here's a new thing. And they do the same thing with Mitch McConnell. Or I saw a video from somebody just before I went live. It's finally happening. They're calling for the 25th, but it's like Alex Jones calling for the 25th, which is newsworthy, but it's not like there's politicians that are, of any significance that are calling for this 25th Amendment to remove him from office. You can't make a serious breaking news if your lead picture and reference is Alex Jones, unless you're talking about the fact that the Onion bought InfoWars and is having a heck of a time mocking InfoWars with their own stuff. That's really good. But so anyway, I'm going to be heading out of town, and I'm doing the final prep work for some of the magic show stuff tonight. And so because I'm lazy and old and tired and busy, I just decided I didn't want to do a show tonight. So see y'all later. Thanks for showing up. Oh, wait, no. I came up with a better idea. And that is I have brought in a guest that is so good at this. I don't have to really pay all that much attention. I will pay attention though, because I love this. I've done this longer than any single position or non-familial relationship of my entire life. Me sitting in front of a camera, taking calls, talking to people about religion, about politics. That's it. I think it is now fair to say that this qualifies as my life's work, no matter what else I was going to do. So I brought in a guest that'll do the work for me, along with me, but it'll make it so easy and so relaxed. Everybody, welcome Thinker back to the show.
Hey, Matt.
How are you?
I'm doing good. So you're on the year of Zen.
Yeah,
I
I
love
did
it.
it. I'm kind of a dick, and I decided since so many people seem to be upset that I'm a bit of a hothead, and they were like, "You'd do so much better if you didn't, lose. If you didn't crash, if you didn't lose it." And I'm like, okay. And a lot of them just think I can't.
Mm.
You can't maintain calm. And I'm like, are you kidding me? If you knew how much more I could explode than I have.
I don't think people realize that we want to remain calm. We want to have civil conversations, but like the gaslighting feels very abusive and the crossing the boundaries and not answering questions. And sometimes you
It's
have
been a
to kind
while.
of get assertive. But yeah, I'm not Zen right now. I feel like
You
I'm
don't
still
have to be.
Okay. I feel like I'm
I'm
peaceful
counting
even
on
when
you
I'm
picking up
crashing out.
where I have to leave a little bit on the table.
Okay. Yeah, I feel like I'm peaceful even when I'm crashing out.
So we've got lines open right now. Um, I don't. Oh, yep. I see in Collins Studio that it's all 8 lines are open. So we've verified that we have more than one line open. 720-619-2288. If you're a theist, you will go directly to the top of the queue right after your screen. If you've been sitting there going, I got something to say. I've been, you know, I've been watching, I've been listening, or somebody directed me to this, and I need to point these people towards the truth. I need to help them find Jesus or Allah or Moroni or I don't know, whatever. Take your pick. And wow, somebody tried a video call? That's really wild. I didn't even know that that capability was there. But 720-619-2288 is the number to call. You can also go to Call In Studio, link down below in the description, and connect via web browser on your cell phone, on your tablet, PC, Mac, whatever. Just remember that if you're on your phone while you're on hold, the phone may go to sleep and the browser may also go to sleep. So you may have to tap your phone a couple times to get you back to live. But once you're past the call screener, we will we will dig in and we are ready to believe you as long as you actually come with evidence.
I heard you talking in your opening about the Bible study that you were teaching about Second Samuel,
Mm.
and it, the what for me the benefits of Jesus's contract that believers will usually bring up when you're talking about Second Samuel, like the Amalekites and how the God of the Old Testament is condoning slavery or genocide and misogynistic, and they typically think that Jesus's new covenant solves this personality defect that the God of the
Yeah.
Old Testament has. But I feel like the unlimited sin, unlimited forgiveness, unlimited grace plan that a lot of them have signed is causing issues for humanity. And so I don't, if what I'm really interested in is them explaining to me why I should see that contract as a good thing. Like, why would someone sign up for to be able to do sin unlimitedly, be forgiven unlimitedly, and get abundant grace over and over and over again? Like, how is that a good deal for humanity?
That I'd love somebody to call in and address that. I have all kinds of thoughts from both sides of that, but it's better for us to wait to the callers. And so if you've got an explanation for, explain to us how and why there's a first covenant and a second covenant or multiple different covenants. Explain to us why there's an Old Testament, New Testament. Explain to us why so many of you Christians in particular, well, I already know why, but I'd love to hear your reason, because it could be wrong, for why so many of you are absolutely terrified of addressing virtually anything in the Old Testament. It's as if, from the standpoint of the average Christian, and this includes my former self, by the way, this includes me sitting at the First Baptist Church of Harvester, Gashland Baptist Church in Missouri, and saying, the Bible is basically creation, original sin, 10 commandments, prophecies, and then it goes to Jesus. Hang on. You skipped a bunch of stuff there. What about this? What about that? None of this makes any sense. We've been talking about it a lot lately. And so if you've got answers for Thinker or myself, the lines are open. And actually, calls are starting to come in already. If you're ready, we can get started.
I'm ready.
Alrighty. So, first caller today, Haven, pronouns are he, him, and lists as agnostic spiritual, and says following atheism to its natural conclusion shows there isn't free will, and that's a problem. Wow, Haven, that's a ton. I'm also confused about the agnostic spiritual thing, but I'll let you make your point first. So, welcome to the show. You're on with Thinker and me.
Well, thanks for having me. So, just my point around free will generally, as it relates to atheism.
Yeah, I don't see what atheism has to do with free will.
Well, I guess to me, atheism is accepting science as like the only true form of evidence, and
That's
the science that
literally
we have now.
so
Sorry, go
Haven.
ahead.
Atheism, you've already misdefined atheism. There are plenty of
Okay.
so theism is the position of accepting the claim that some God exists, and atheism is the
Hmm.
position of not accepting that claim. You can accept any claim or reject any claim for good reasons or bad reasons. Atheism
Hmm.
has nothing to do with science or accepting science. Atheists can be irrational, goofy. They can believe in supernatural things. They can reject sound science as it relates to, vaccines or, anything. So when you start by defining atheism as if it requires some sort of acceptance of science, you've not only misunderstood atheism, but I'll point out and then kind of back off that neither atheism nor an acceptance of science has anything to do with free will either. So we're still nowhere near.
Okay. Well, that does make sense. So, if the definition of atheism that you're working off of is that you don't believe in a God, whether that be theism, like monotheism, what do you put in the place of that God? Because I think like kind of what I'm working towards is that everyone has some sort of, or at least I'd like to like debate off this premise, but everyone has like some sort of understanding of how the universe works, or are like completely agnostic to it and just don't think there's enough evidence in any direction. If like they're kind of along the
So
spectrum between atheism and theism, I think to me at least, like my
there's
definition.
nothing, there's no space between atheism and theism. There, just like there's no space between true and not true. Those are the only two options.
Okay.
You're either convinced a God exists or you don't. And when you ask, what do I put in place of God? Um, what do you put in place of cancer when you cure it?
An absence of cancer. Yeah, I see where you're going with that. But would you agree that a good amount of atheists believe like entirely in a natural universe? Like you have to admit that there is something that is the universe. And if you
I believe in
don't
the
think
natural
God created
universe.
it,
Thinker, do
then
you believe in the natural universe?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
of
But
course we
I
believe in the
also
natural.
okay,
Don't you believe in the natural universe? I believed in the natural
I do.
universe when I was also a believer in Jesus.
Yeah, but I would say that theists put a God at the beginning of that universe, whereas atheists, I guess it's a little bit hazy, but I'd imagine that they would argue that time has always existed. There was no beginning, and that where theists would
Haven,
say that there is a beginning.
Haven. I'm gonna back off because I've got a great guest here, and and I don't mean to offend you, but
Hmm.
this is either a really bad job of trolling or you are incredibly confused because the purpose of the show is for people to call in and explain why we should believe what they believe. And
Hmm.
it's at no point is the purpose of the show for people to call in and speculate about what they suspect other people believe, including atheists, especially when there's two atheists sitting here that you could just ask. And nothing about what I believe or what Thinker believes or what atheists in general believe is in any way relevant to the truth of whether or not there is a God. So, because this is all over the map, I'm going to kind of back up again because I can see Thinker there. She got
Hmm.
questions for you, and so I'm going to step
Okay.
out of the way.
No, I just want to say,
All right.
like, I agree with you. He never asked what we believe. Like, I don't care about how the universe started. Like, it's here, right? Like, we've been here. The
Hmm.
universe is billions of years old. The earth is millions of years old. The humans are hundreds of thousands of years old. I'm here in 2026. I don't sit and ponder about the beginning of the world. What I care more about is the claim that I need to worship a God or believe that a God can engage with me here in my objective reality, right? And what that belief, how that belief affects me. I don't necessarily sit and pray to the universe. And I don't quite
Hmm.
understand why. Like, can you help me understand why knowing the beginning of the universe, or like being able to prove what that is, how does that affect our objective reality today?
Yeah, I guess just why I think it's important to maybe like examine the possibility that there is a God just for this like objective reality right now is that if you're only working off the assumption that there like our universe is a sandbox of physics, that based on like a certain external stimuli will always give the same result, our brains fit within that as like being made up of molecules. So I guess therefore like
I'm sorry.
it
I'm sorry.
bothers
Is this
me
what you
that
would
if you
say?
follow that through the logical. Sorry,
No,
what?
I asked, why do I need to, why is it important to know the beginning of time, to know like how everything started is my question, not why is it important to know if there is a God?
I guess it all kind of ties back to the same idea that God, to me at least, like, or an idea that there is like some sort of higher universal order gives purpose to my life. Because if I look purely at science, which to me is the absence of God, I understand you guys brought a different definition of the absence of God, but to me, in the absence of God, all that we have left is like scientific evidence.
This is
If you
hilarious.
follow the science, you arrive
Like, do you
somewhere
think
that
you're
there
answering the
isn't free
question I
will.
asked though?
Yeah.
I'll answer the question. Why is it important that we look at the beginning of the universe? Because atheists or people that believe in science and like, yeah, like the scientific method
Do
and
you not
theists,
believe in science?
I do believe in science, but I think there might be something outside of it that we aren't able to
How would you
comprehend.
show that there's okay? So I'm trying to be as charitable as possible, but you're conflating so many ideas. You're all over the place. It seems that you're
Okay.
conflating science with philosophical materialism because science doesn't say whether there's something else other than the material world. It just says we don't have the ability to explore beyond the material world. If you think there's something beyond the material world, how would you go about demonstrating this true?
So I guess you would say that that would be an agnostic perspective, right?
I'm sorry.
That you don't know that there is anything outside of science.
Here, let's make this really easy. I'm going to ask a couple of questions and you and I will both answer them. So, for example,
Okay.
if question one is, are you convinced that free will is real? My answer is no.
No.
What's your answer?
No.
Okay. So, neither of us believe that free will is real. Are you convinced that something other than the material world exists? My answer is no.
I would say no as well, yes.
I don't know why you're calling then.
Because I would say that there is something, like saying that there's something outside of the material realm implies that it's separate from nature. If there is some sort of like God or like something more spiritual, you could say, like, these are kind of all words that I'm using to describe something separate from what we understand about the universe. I'm saying if something like quote unquote spiritual or like some sort of like higher purpose or power existed that enabled free will, I would still say that's of nature because it exists within our universe and nature. I wouldn't say it's like non-material, just like I think you got like a spiritual experience, it's happening within your neurons and not
Is
like
this
some
some kind
sort
of
of like
weird bong
extra.
rip book report that you're doing? Because now you're saying you don't believe in free will, but if there was free will, if there was some supernatural thing that allowed for free will, I have no idea how anything could allow for free will. And I'm not interested in ifs. I'm interested in what is actually demonstrably true. We're trying to figure out what we should believe. If all you're saying is we should believe that if there's free will that comes from this thing, we shouldn't rule it out. Okay, we didn't. Well, what's happening here as skeptics, we are only able to believe the things for which we are convinced. And the manner by which we become convinced that something is true or likely true is the issue here.
Mm-hmm.
If you don't believe there's free will and you don't believe there's a creator and you don't have a clue what atheism is, and you're conflating atheism and science, and you're conflating science and philosophical naturalism, and you're conflating all of that with free will, I don't know why you would think you have any useful thing to offer to this conversation. You're basically just saying, yeah, but what about? Yeah, but what about? I have zero fucking interest in yeah, but what about?
It
I
also
guess
sounds like
I was just trying to understand what your position was. So
Well,
You
that's a
don't believe in
lie.
free will.
That's a lie, Haven, because when I want to understand what somebody's position is, I talk to them and I say, hey, what's your position? You did the actual opposite. You called in, and instead of asking us about our position, you started telling us about what your opinion of what atheists believe and what atheists are. There's literally two of us sitting right here. You could have asked questions.
Well, I
I'm the
think
one that asked
I
questions. I had to make this as easy as possible on you by asking straightforward questions that I answered first. We're not here, by the
well, I
way,
was
to
getting
be
there.
quizzed.
I'm
I'm
trying to
sorry, I
align
wasn't
around
done
common
talking. I know
definitions
that
because
I know that's troubling, but I wasn't done talking. We're not here to be quizzed by people, but we will answer questions. So if you really want to know what we think, you could just ask those questions. I'd love to understand what after I'll let you ask one question to Thinker or me, and then
okay.
we'll see how that goes because I still want to know what the fuck agnostic spiritual means.
Thank you. That's my question. Like, I
I guess
I don't, one second, and then you can proceed because
yeah.
what I'm confused about is you saying that you don't believe that something outside of the material world exists, but then you explain this thing that can give humans free will, and then you're calling it spiritual. And so I don't quite
hmm
understand what you are calling spiritual that is material.
Okay.
Does that make sense? Like,
Maybe I can
I don't
explain my
understand how you're
position and
saying the
then
spiritual. One second. I don't understand how you are
okay.
describing something spiritual that is also material. That's where I'm confused. Go ahead.
Do you want me to sorry, do you want me to answer that question, like describing something? Or maybe I'll just say what my position is and then I'll ask my question. So uh my position is like very similar to Taoism, I'd say, where it's more of a life philosophy where it's not necessarily useful to try and theorize and like speculate about afterlife, about a higher meaning of life, and instead like find meaning in the present moment. So I would say that's kind of where I land. But in order for that to be true, and I have to accept some sort of reality where free will does exist, where I have the power over my life to move towards that place of like presence. So that I guess that would be my position. And then to you guys, I would just be curious, do you believe in free will? And if not, why? If so, why? And maybe we can work from
Were
there.
you not listening when I answered that question already? I mean, granted, Thinker didn't, but here's the thing. Your position is now, hey, let me tell you what my idea is. And the thing that I prefer, there's no discussion or demonstration that's true, but the thing that you prefer, this notion of Taoism, requires that there be free will. But you already said you don't believe in free will. So how can you possibly advocate for a position that
Sorry,
requires
I
something that you don't believe in?
I misunderstood your question when you asked it. I thought you said, "Do you think like free will exists?" I misunderstood how you phrased it before. I don't believe in free, or I do believe that we have will over our lives, that we can affect change beyond like the
I
material world,
believe
I
that
guess,
we
as
are
we
actors
understand it.
that can change things. That's not free will. But anyway,
So
I have
what is your definition of
thinker
free will?
think
I don't think humans have free will now.
so. There's a variety of different categories that are labeled as free will. For example, there's the notion of libertarian free will, which is if you were to rewind the universe, you could have done things other way, some other way. I
Mhm.
believe that we have will. I just have no idea how free it is. I don't see any way in which any of my will, my desires, are in any way not directly impacted, if not dictated in a complex way by the facts of reality. That doesn't mean that I don't have desires. It doesn't mean that my life doesn't have purpose. It just doesn't have some externally imposed purpose. My life has whatever meaning or purpose I attribute to it.
Even if that meaning and purpose you attribute isn't something that you like are actually attributing, your brain would attribute that every time if you ran back the clock and reran the
What difference
simulation.
does it make? Do you have a way to
Well,
demonstrate the difference between me in some magical sense
mhm.
bypass? How can I bypass my brain? I am my fucking brain.
I think the Buddhist philosophy would disagree on that to a certain degree.
Okay,
Um,
I didn't ask what the Buddhist philosophy was, but now you switch from Taoism to Buddhism. Um,
well, they're all they're all branches of the same philosophy that descended from Siddhartha, so they are very similar. Zen Buddhism, Taoism,
No,
like they're all.
no. And thank you for demonstrating that you not only have a cartoonish understanding of everything else you've talked about, but also of Eastern religions in general. The Tao Te Ching behind Taoism is not from Siddhartha Buddha.
It's from what's his
It's
name?
from Lao Tzu.
Yeah, Lao Tzu.
Yeah.
I guess I was conflating Zen Buddhism and Taoism because they are like very similar philosophies.
Yeah, that's what I was
understand it. But
objecting
back
to.
the-
You conflating them and saying they're all essentially the same because, wow, I asked a question. I basically, all I stated was, I don't see any way for my mind, for my brain to not be the one that's steering the ship, whether it's the result of some sort of determinism or some sort of libertarian free will. I have no way of telling. So how can you tell whether it's really me making a decision or just my brain?
Well, back to the kind of like free will argument, I would say if you're purely operating off like a physical reality that you don't have control over your brain or what happens, you're just kind of like a passive observer, like experiencing the universe, but you don't have any control over that experience. You might have the illusion of free will, but if you like go down to the microscopic level, that like free will does not actually exist. I guess, and that's where I have issue with that stance. So I'm trying to maybe compensate and poorly, like as you're pointing out, some sort of philosophy that explains how I can have free will, but I can't accept that I don't have free will.
Why?
So what question do you think I asked you?
And you can repeat it because you've asked a lot of questions.
Yeah, but I asked one right before you started talking, and that kind of sets all the others aside. How can you tell the difference between me actually making a decision versus me just thinking I made a decision?
Again, you thinking you made a decision is the illusion of free will. You actually like what is making a decision?
I'm sorry.
By
sorry.
definition, like
I'm sorry. What question did I just ask you?
you just asked me what's the difference between making a decision.
No, I
and, like,
didn't
thinking
say
that you
what's
made a
the
decision.
difference. I didn't ask you for a definition. I didn't ask you for a primer on free will. I didn't ask you for a primer on any subject that I've been teaching for 20 years. I asked, how can you tell the difference between me making a decision and me just thinking that I made a decision? How can you tell the difference and how can I tell the difference? How do we distinguish between those two states of affairs?
I don't understand that. Like, what are you trying to get at?
I'm sorry. Do you understand that there's one state of affairs where I actually make a decision, according to you, and there's another state of affairs where I only think I've made a decision, according to you, right?
Yes, and I'm arguing that.
No, don't
like,
do an and. At this point, you have to just say yes to the yes or no's. There are two states of affairs. There are two states of affairs, correct?
Yes, correct.
How do you tell which of those two states of affairs is the one that actually occurred?
I would like to think that the
I don't care what you'd
latter
like
one
to
occurs.
think. I don't care what you'd like to think. I'm asking for the method by which you can distinguish between one state of affairs and another. If I ask you, hey, in one state of affairs, you're going to get chocolate ice cream, and in another state of affairs, you're going to get a scoop of diarrhea on the cone, and I ask you how you can tell the difference between them, I don't need you to say, I'd like to think that maybe. I need you to tell me how you can tell the difference.
Well, I would say they're the same thing because the perspective
that
I'm bringing is that
a scoop of chocolate ice cream, a scoop of chocolate ice cream and a scoop of diarrhea are the same thing. Are you fucking kidding me?
Well, just how you phrase the question, because my whole argument, which you're not really like
You don't have an
understanding
argument.
here.
You don't have a comprehension. You don't even,
No,
you
I'm
barely have a claim. And you seem to
I'm
be,
trying to lay down the argument for there not
I
being
don't need
free
you to
will
lay
and why
down
that.
anything. I need you to answer the questions that are relevant to the claim that you tried to make. And you seem completely incapable of understanding the basics. So in case A, I actually make my own decisions. And in case B, I merely think, because I have the illusion of some sort of will or free will, that I make my own decisions. You're saying
There's
that
the
there's
difference.
some significance to those cases. And I'm asking, how can we, any of us, tell the difference between state of affairs A and state of affairs B? That's all I want to know.
I don't think that we can, but if we ran back
Okay,
the
if we
clock, I
can't,
believe that
no,
you
no, no,
would
I'm
always make
sorry.
the same
I'm
decision.
sorry. Stop talking. Thank you. If you admit that we can't tell the difference between those states of affairs, then why would we fucking discuss it until we can?
Because I think that it's important to have an understanding of
You're
reality
wrong.
and the
You're
understanding of
wrong.
reality based on.
You're wrong.
Okay,
You're
well, I do
wrong.
think it's not important to have a meaning of life or some sort of understanding of reality.
I have no reason to think, oh, I do think it's valuable to understand reality. You're not talking about understanding reality. You've talked about two states of affairs that you admit you have no way to tell the difference between. That is an absolutely useless proposition. If you have no way of telling the difference between whether the sun is a big ball of fire or whether it's a yellow crayon that somebody scribbled in the sky, what is the point of having any discussion about it if you do not have a way to tell the difference?
Because science would tell you that there is a difference, and I trust science beyond my personal observation of the world.
Stop talking again.
Not a more
Stop
rigorous
talking
standard?
again. Stop talking again. Science doesn't tell you that there's a difference. If there's no way to tell a difference, science isn't going to tell you that there's a difference. Like if, for example, you thought you heard a ghost, and it may have just been a random noise that was purely natural. And I ask you, how do you tell whether it was a ghost or not? And you're like, I don't know. Science doesn't come along and tell you that for that experience, there is an identifiable difference. And if it does, then now you're only just talking about your particular ignorance. Do you
how about this as an analogy?
I'm sorry. I was still talking.
Okay.
If you can't tell the difference between actually having free will and only thinking you have free will, why spend any time on the issue unless you have some sort of path to reach resolution?
Because I think it's important. And can I just give you an analogy real quick? Like, do you know the many worlds theory?
No. Listen.
No. Can I just follow this? Like, it'll take me like 10 seconds.
Listen.
All right.
I have two envelopes. One of them has $100 bill in it, and the other one has an arrest warrant for you. And you have no way to tell the difference which one is which. Pick one.
I don't know which one is which.
Pick one.
I understand what you're saying here. I'm not
Pick
stupid.
one. No, you don't understand what I'm saying. Pick one.
Well, no, I do understand. Well, I'm picking one that I believe is the one that I have the arrest warrant.
Pick one. Pick one.
Okay, the arrest.
Pick one. No, you don't know. It's a fucking envelope, dumbass. You don't know what's in each envelope. You don't get to pick what's in the envelope. You're picking an envelope, right hand or left hand. I'm going to stop because I'm really close to you actually breaking me with some of the stupidest stuff I've ever heard. If you can't tell the difference between, stop talking. I will let you talk when I'm fucking done. Stop talking. If you can't tell the difference between A and B, all discussion about the value and difference between A and B is a complete fucking waste of everybody's time, like the last 24 and a half minutes of this phone call. But now I'll let you continue.
The difference between a subjective and objective difference. Like, okay, the many worlds analogy I was trying.
No, okay, I'm going to mute you again. I figured it out, Haven. You're not serious. You're a troll. You may not be an intentional troll. You may not think you're a troll, but you're a troll. Because first of all, you said you called in to find out what we think, but that's not true. You called in to tell us what we think. And even when given the opportunity, all you did was ask us a question that one of us had already answered. Your first question was literally one I had offered you up on a silver platter. But now you're saying you've confused Taoism and Buddhism. You're saying that you believe your closest philosophy is Taoism, but it requires that there is, in fact, free will. Well, if there's not free will, then Taoism can't be true. If your view is Taoism requires free will, and you don't have a good reason to believe in free will, then you cannot have a good reason to believe in Taoism. And if Taoism requires free will, and there's not free will, then Taoism can't be true. And so what you've done is you picked an envelope labeled Taoism because you like what you think is in that envelope. But in reality, you already don't accept what's in that envelope. You are struggling with, I just can't believe we don't have free will. You're not alone, man. Tons of people in this chat, people watching this show, people who are close to me believe in some version of free will. What people believe in is completely independent from what's actually fucking real. And until we have a reason to believe that it's real, you don't have a reason to believe in it, and you don't get to use it to prop up your other belief. You're beginning with, ooh, I really can't not believe there's free will, and therefore I'll use that, and that leads to Taoism. Thinker, can we help Haven at all?
I don't think so. Like he is confused, and I'm not into talking about things that we can't distinguish a difference between the two options, or if it doesn't necessarily affect, our objective reality. I think that we cannot prove that we are making decisions that are not influenced by our surroundings, our upbringings. Like we're not just picking the options that are available to us because of everything else that's happening around us. And to me, that's not free will. I lean more towards determinism, and I just think that the free will conversation is a waste of a conversation to me, because I also think that when most people are talking about free will, they're just talking about the ability to choose between the available options that are presented to them on a daily.
Yeah. Let's do this. Haven, I've got other callers, so let's do this.
I understand.
Do you have something to discuss, some position to defend for which you can offer some way to tell the difference between whether or not it's true?
I guess the angle I was moving towards is like that one of just being agnostic and that there isn't enough evidence that we don't have free will. So I would defend the agnostic perspective that we don't know if we do or don't have free will, and then therefore it's utilitarian to choose a life philosophy that helps you live how you want to live. What's that's
my
the position I was here trying to paint.
See, here's the problem. You have stupidly accepted and asserted some sort of view of atheism and tried to put yourself smugly superior from that position, like so many other proud agnostics. I'm not an atheist, I'm just agnostic. That means you didn't answer the question. The question is, do you believe there's a God? You either believe, in which case you're a theist, or you do not believe, in which case you're an atheist. Agnosticism answered a question of knowledge, not belief, and knowledge is a subset of belief. And at what point did I tell you that I know we don't have free will? I didn't. I didn't tell you that I was Gnostic on the subject at all. I asked if I believed in free will, and I said no. And Thinker was basically like, I lean towards free will. You seem to be suggesting, because you say, quote, following atheism to its natural conclusion shows there isn't free will, and that's a problem. Well, first of all, atheism is a position of either rejecting or actively opposing. However, it doesn't have a natural conclusion. because atheism isn't philosophical materialism. And even if it were, that doesn't solve the issue of determinism. And even if it did, it doesn't solve issues related to hard determinism and soft determinism. And even if it did, it doesn't address the many different versions of free will, including Daniel Dennett's version of compatibilism, which suggests that a variety of free will is compatible with determinism. Have you read Elbow Room? Have you read Dennett? Have you understood compatibilism at all as an option? No.
So, you see, this is the issue when you're debating like atheists like this, because you prescribe like a very strict view to theists, and that's easy to pick apart. But when I try to have a constructive argument,
I'm sorry. It's time for me to mute you because Daddy's home. You don't get to pretend that you've discovered the problem with debating atheists. I've been doing this for 22 years, young man. I'm not defining things too narrowly. I'm using the definition. Theism is the state of believing the proposition some God exists is true or likely true. So let's start there. I'm going to bring you back, Haven. My position is that theism is best and most commonly defined and used in common parlance and in philosophical journals and in theological contexts as the position of accepting the proposition, quote, some God exists. What's wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with that, but I think someone that would come on with a theistic view would have a defined God there.
That's not,
so
see,
it's easier
Haven,
to try to find some sort of common ground position between two extremes.
Do you want to learn? I'm going to teach you whether you want to learn or not. But the question is, do you want to learn?
Okay. Yeah, I want to learn. That's why I'm here. I like having conversations. And
so
learning.
that was it. You're basically saying that my definition and usage of theism is acceptable, common, accepted, and not particularly narrow. It is accurate.
Yes.
Right? Cool. Then you said, what you said was, yes, but you think if somebody called in, if a theist called in, they would have a more specific God. And you know what? Most of the time, you would be correct. However, that's completely irrelevant. What theism is, the top level position, is independent from the subsets of theism, because Christianity is a theism, Judaism is a theism, Hinduism is theism, Buddhism is sometimes theistic or deistic or non-theistic. It depends on the particular model. So it could be the case that someone could be just a deist or just a theist and not have a specific God, or it might be that they have a specific God, in which case I'm happy to talk to them about the specific features of their specific God. But when I talk about theism, it would be an absolutely stupid mistake on my part to presume that theism has anything to do necessarily with Jesus, correct?
You would be correct there, yes.
Cool. I'm correct every time, all the way from the start of this conversation until we're done. Just get used to that.
I'm just trying to say that
I'm still teaching you. I'm still teaching you. Atheism is the position of not accepting that same proposition of theism, correct?
Yes, so it's an all-inclusive statement. You're either atheist or you're theist.
Correct. So how is it the case that you feel comfortable accusing me of defining theism and atheism too narrowly, and then when I walk through it, you agree?
It's not how you define those specific terms. It's that I'm trying to have a conversation about your belief.
Okay, I'm going to mute you for a second. Take a breath. I'm going to unmute you immediately. What term did I define too narrowly?
You there?
Yeah, what term you said this is the problem with atheists because they define terms too narrowly. What term did I define too narrowly?
Like free will, the difference between objective and subjective realities. Like you're kind of jumping all over the place.
Okay, now you're a lying piece of shit, and I'm going to school you, so you're muted. First of all, I'm not the one that's jumping all over the place. You, sir, are jumping all over the place. It's been embarrassing, and I'm not the only one that's noticed it. But I didn't say anything about subjective or objective reality, so that's a lie. And also, I acknowledged that there were I'm the one who sat here multiple times, I believe, in this conversation and said that there were a variety of different complex views about free will, and varieties like libertarian free will, which I think absolutely doesn't exist, but something like a compatibilist free will that doesn't. So how is it that I can sit here and discuss broadly some of the options and you think that I'm defining it too narrowly? Explain that.
Well, I'm just saying that I would
No,
like to
explain
meet you
that.
at an internally consistent
No,
worldview.
explain that. Explain how I can sit here and tell you about a variety of different free wills, and you say you want to accuse me of defining it too narrowly. I need you to defend that position, or I'm going to hang up on you.
No, I didn't say too narrowly. I said too broadly. I said that was the whole.
You're a liar, and I've hung up on you because I can tell that no matter how much fun I have walking you around the park like a chew toy, because you haven't got the slightest clue what you're talking about, and you clearly don't have any interest in being honest or learning. Thinker was long bored of this conversation. So let's get somebody calling in here. John is from Arizona. John's project, him, he's a theist who is MAGA and believes in the spirit world and God. Hey, John. Are you there, John?
Hey, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear us?
This is all my personal opinion. Yeah, I believe in a spirit world. I support
John?
Trump. I'm MAGA. Yeah.
John, when you say it's all your personal opinion, are you getting ready to say that you don't have any ability to defend the claim that a spirit world exists or a God exists?
Oh, no, that's just a legal thing, I say.
What?
Oh, I say my personal opinion like I think. You know, look, I mean, these are existential questions. I could be wrong, so that's why I say that, you know.
John, do you pick one real quick? Spirit world or God? Which one do you think you'd like to defend?
Spirit world.
Okay. I am all ears and Thinker's all ears. Please tell us why you think we should believe that there is a spirit world.
Well, this was actually discovered during the MK Ultra projects, but they didn't. The intelligence agencies didn't really care because it didn't help defeat communism. But Luciferians convinced me. I don't know if you're familiar with like Michael Aquino or Aleister Crowley or Anton LaVey or Helena Blavatsky or Albert Pike or Maria Abramovich. They convinced me there's an afterlife in the spirit world. There wouldn't be all this occult symbolism in Hollywood, this one eye shit, these pyramids. There's something to it.
Okay. I asked you what question?
You asked me to defend the spirit world.
No, I asked you, why should we believe in the spirit world?
Well, I was trying to explain to you, yeah, that there's a I think there's an afterlife because of the people I mentioned, and I can explain what they were about and what they believed in if you'd like.
So, do you think that the people you're pointing to are relevant to whether or not there's a good reason to believe in the afterlife?
Yes.
Then you're mistaken. That's not how justification for beliefs work. The number of people who believe something, how strongly they believe it, how much you like them, how ostracized they've been from anybody. The only thing that matters is the actual evidence, not the people who convinced you.
Well, I can give you the evidence if you'd like.
That's what we're actually asking for. See, because I'm going to believe something when you can present enough evidence for it, not when you can tell me a bunch of names of people who you found convincing.
Do you know who Michael Aquino is?
I don't. Why on earth would you be so stupid as to mention a name right after I pointed out how useless it is to mention a name?
Well, you asked me. I'm trying to tell you what they believe in and why they convinced me. This is the argument. I'm trying to lay it out.
I'm sorry. I'm asking for evidence and just told you that listing names isn't going to be evidence. So why would you ask me if I knew who Michael Aquino is? Is Michael evidence?
Yes.
How is Michael evidence?
He was a high-level military intelligence officer, an expert in asymmetrical and psychological warfare. He was a was a the Yazis were. I'm sorry, I can say I'm not on TikTok. The Nazis were heavily into the occult, and this ties into it, right? He dressed up he's a former Green Beret, right? And he dressed up with his buddies and went to a German castle and performed an SS ceremony. There's something.
I'm sorry.
Even if you,
I'm sorry. I guarantee you, I promise I'm not trying to be a dick, but you're a lunatic and you are unable to provide evidence. How is Michael evidence? What Michael did, who Michael was, whether he was into the occult. I mean, you're a nut. You are a conspiracy theorist, not of epic proportions, and you are completely incapable of providing evidence, even when I ask multiple times. Do you have evidence for the spirit world that Thinker and I can consider, or are you just wanting to tell the story like you fucking called into Art Bell? Because I'm not Art Bell.
No. Look, I'm trying to tell you the reason for, and I know you'll think this is crazy, but the reason for wearing a tinfoil hat is to block EMF frequency. This is what Michael Aquino was into. This is mind control.
John,
this was MK Ultra.
John, did I ask you at any point in the history of the universe what reason there might be to wear a tinfoil hat?
I'm trying to explain to you.
Did I? I don't care what you're trying to do. The question I asked you, let's see. John, are you able to answer a yes/no question?
Sure, go ahead.
Actually, that's not a yes/no answer. That's sure, go ahead. Are you able to answer a yes or no question?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Did I ask you anything about tinfoil hats prior to you telling me about it? Yes or no?
No.
Does anything about wearing tinfoil hats provide evidence for the spirit world? Yes or no?
Yes.
How does wearing a tinfoil hat provide evidence for the spirit world?
Right. So the reason to electromagnetic frequencies are that is asymmetrical warfare. This is what I'm trying to tell you about with Michael Aquino, right?
What question did I just ask you?
You asked me how wearing a tinfoil hat provides evidence for a spirit world.
Okay. How does wearing a tinfoil hat provide evidence for the spirit world?
Well, I'm trying to tell you that Michael Aquino founded the Temple of Set in 1975.
I'm sorry. There's absolutely, maybe, were you hit in the head with something at some point?
Oh, yeah, I've had head injuries, sure.
This feels like he's trolling MAGA.
Because, this is, I mean, how do here's the best question, John. How can I tell the difference between you and someone who is lying and sounding absolutely insane for their amusement or some other reason?
I'm really not trolling. I'd be happy to.
I'm sorry.
Look,
what question do you think I asked you, dumbass?
Well, there's no reason to be a grouch.
Oh, there is a reason to be a grouch, you dumbass. Because you're wasting my time and my audience's time. I hung up on another caller because you were supposedly calling in to defend this stuff. And instead, what I get is a troll who thinks they can spew all kinds of conspiracy theorist stuff. Never. I'm still talking. Shut your mouth. You'll get to talk when I let you talk. You'll get to talk when I let you talk.
Okay,
I'm going to let you know. As a matter of fact, I'm going to mute you. You'll know when I decide. Because for the first part of this call, all we did was let you ramble and then try to get you back on track. But your brain is either dishonest or discombobulated. You seem completely incapable of putting together a cogent, rational thought or answering a rational question. When I say, what's the evidence? Well, let me tell you about so-and-so and so-and-so and so. No. What's the evidence? Oh, this is the reason why you wear tinfoil hats. Is wearing tinfoil hats providing evidence for the spiritual? Yes, it is. Okay, what is it? Well, if you go back there, you got Michael Aquino, who has the world's wildest eyebrows. By the way, it's really hilarious. Oh, did he call me fat? That's pretty good considering I weigh about 75 pounds less than I did at my max. So yeah, I recognize though I'm still fat. I used to be really fucking fat, and now I'm just a little fat. But it's awesome. Um, yeah. The thing is, when I call you a dumbass, it's based on actual evidence. It was based on words that you said and positions you took. And so I guess it's fair for you to call me fat because there's some jigglypuff chin stuff there. So it's true that I'm fat. Is there anything else? Is there any evidence? Here's a question. What empirical evidence can you provide for the spirit world?
Well, there's all this occult symbolism in Hollywood, right?
Okay, I'm going to mute you again because now we have to take another step back because you're a dumbass. I asked what empirical evidence you could provide for the spirit world, and your response was to talk about occult symbolism in Hollywood. I don't care about occult symbolism. I don't care about it in Hollywood. I don't care about it tattooed on my ass. I don't care about it on my friend's clothing. I don't care about it at the dance club. I don't care about occult symbolism at all because I'm not a buffoon who engages in magical thinking. However, the question I asked had nothing to do. Occult symbolism is not empirical evidence for the spirit world. So let's try this again. Here we go. What empirical evidence?
Yeah.
What empirical evidence do you have for the spirit world?
Lady Gaga's video applause, Bohemian Grove, and Nietzsche.
I'm sorry. Here, let's do this right. I'm gonna bring you back, John. What question did I ask you?
You asked me what empirical evidence is there for the spirit world.
Do you have some?
I was trying to explain it. You interrupted.
No. I'm sorry. That was a yes or no question, dumbass. Do you have some empirical evidence for the spirit world? Yes or no?
Yes.
Do you think that occult symbolism in popular culture is empirical evidence for the spirit world?
Yes.
You are wrong.
Well, that's your
It's not evidence for anything other than somebody wanted to include occult symbolism. Occult symbolism is no more evidence. I'm sorry, I'm still talking. Occult symbolism is no more evidence for the occult being real than any fictional book is of its characters being real. The fact that Harry Potter sold a bunch of books doesn't mean Voldemort's real. And if I get a Voldemort tattoo, which I'll never do because J.K. Rowling is an absolutely transphobic, monstrous piece of shit that should be, I don't know, let's get her a space trip somewhere. That would be awesome. But that doesn't make it real. And if I draw a pentacle on me or a pentagram or supposed occult symbols, if I put a 666 on me, none of that in any way demonstrates that the occult is real, correct?
I disagree.
Then you're wrong and stupid because you can draw whatever picture you want, and that doesn't mean the thing that it points to is real. If I draw a picture of Casper the Ghost, does that give evidence that Casper the Ghost is real?
You got to let me lay out the argument, man. You keep interrupting.
I'm sorry, I don't have to let you do a fucking thing ever, and I'm probably not. So here's the thing. If I draw a picture of Casper the Ghost, is that evidence that Casper the Ghost is real, yes or no?
No.
Goodbye. I want to apologize to Thinker.
Yeah,
I was in a great mood. I was really hoping we were going to get calls. And we have had just the absolute most bizarre, dishonest, weird calls ever.
I mean, it happens. He sounded like he was MAGA, but he knew that you wouldn't agree with that argument. He called in for the purposes of trolling. Who says I'm MAGA, I believe in the spirit world, in God, but yeah, I just want to prove to you that the spirit world exists. Like, why is your God not a part of the spirit world? and you trying to convince us of that. Like, I don't understand that. I wanted to ask him that, but yeah, it just seemed
Well,
like trouble.
let's do this. I'm going to mute myself. I'm going to turn the show entirely over to you. And because it could just be that I'm 100% the problem here.
Oh
So
no.
I'm gonna bring Raj in. Raj is calling from India. Pronouns are he, him. He says God provides comfort in the face of suffering and mortality. I'm gonna let Raj engage with you, and I'm only gonna jump in. I'm gonna do my best because I got really close, and I probably owe somebody $50. Arden, if you could put up a poll to see, did I effectively crash out at some point already tonight, so that I know if I need
You
to
haven't
donate
crashed out.
$50. But well, I'll leave it up to a poll. They'll probably vote for it, and I'll donate to Trevor Project or something like that. But I'm only going to interrupt if there's like technical things or some reason to steer back related to the show, not for actual discussion unless I'm asked. So, Raj, welcome to the show. You're calling from India, and you are on with Thinker.
Hey, Raj, how are
Hey,
you?
hi, Matt. Hey, hi. I'm good. So, yeah. So, I wanted to ask, like, gods may or may not be real, but believing in them does provide comfort in the face of suffering, right? So, somebody is having belief in gods, or more like they use in programming, like rubber duck. If you have a problem, you talk to God or gods of your choice, and if they provide you hope and strength, is it not a good thing?
I was talking about this the other day on my show. I don't think that people think about the after effects of that, right? So there is a story that has gone viral with children who were killed in Nigeria. And the kids went on a field trip, and the parents were looking for their kids' bodies. Like, it was a very sad thing that went viral. And then one of the moms went to the morgue to identify her child, and then she saw another child who happened to be alive out of all the children that died in this attack. And everybody was saying, "Oh, Jesus had a miracle. Jesus saved that child. He had one miracle in his pocket, and he saved that child for a purpose." And people think that that's a good thing for that story to go viral. It gives hope, makes people believe that Jesus is real, and they hope that Jesus is going to do the same thing for them in situations like that. Or, when someone is terminally ill, they now have proof that Jesus can and will do this supernatural thing when they're in need. The thing that they don't think about is when that time comes, the anxiety that it creates, the disappointment that it creates when you have your hopes with high expectations, right? And like a person can be up here feeling hopeful and peaceful and believing that a God is going to do and that a God is listening, and then the disappointment can make them crash and at levels that that is almost suicidal.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I got your point. I did consider what you just said. The other way around, when I think like, there's nobody to protect, for instance, my kids when I'm not around, or anything can happen to them at any time. That also gives a very big amount of anxiety, and the best explanation or solution for that which I got is, it is what it is, you need to deal with it. And the other side, when I see, they say, okay, there may be a possibility that if someone's or looking after your kids when you're not looking at them, gives a little bit of peace. It may be a false sense of peace, but at least that keeps one grounded, right? So shouldn't it be the case where at least You may not believe Jesus or any other God, but have a belief that someone's looking after your kids would be giving you peace. So why not believe in one other?
But do you realize that you're saying that believing in a lie brings you peace? Like it's about escaping.
No.
That's what you're saying. You're saying even
I,
if the
I
God
mean,
isn't true, I'm sorry, let me finish, please. You're saying even if the God isn't true, believing in it still brings hope and peace. You're saying there's
I
benefits in
mean,
believing in the lie.
yes. So I don't mean to specifically defend a God like Allah or Jesus, or my stand would be existence or non-existence of any gods have haven't been proven.
Right.
But I have seen people like when they are suffering. Okay, if I do the right thing, there is a good possibility I might get what I want. When the chances are very slim. So,
What does that have to do with a belief in a God? Because you're doing, what do you mean if you do the right thing? That you'll get what you want. What do you mean? Like you're saying that a God is rewarding you?
Take care of my no, I not in the morning. Like the fact that I take care of my kids, give them right education. I do my best to see that they are being protected when I am. But there's always a scope, like when he or she uh, are influenced by others when I'm not looking around. So it gives me anxiety, like uh, uh, something might happen to them. So either uh, I I might be wrong, or uh, in having that anxiety, maybe I need a correction. But when I feel like okay, uh, I have done the best I can, and they'll have a good future when I think. I don't have that anxiety. So in that
But
sense,
what is it that like you're
if
saying?
I don't,
I get what you're saying. Hold on, I get what you're saying. You're saying that you did all the right things raising your children. They grow up and they're adults and they're out in the world, and there's anxiety that something could happen to them, and it gives you peace to think that there's a God watching over them.
yeah. I mean, when I'm not with,
When you're not
and
with them.
I don't even want to. Yes, when I'm not overlooking them, because I would say like trusting others to take care of your kids is also fine, but there are times like where like the other day, uh, m- uh, my kid opened the gate and just ran out of the on the street like playing with friends, but it was quite dangerous. He may not have realized the danger. So I locked the gate whenever he's a very small kid, 3 to 4 years old. So my thing is okay. I'll lock the gate, but I'll be at work, and there's not always I can take care of him. So
Right,
imagining like
Raj, like
yeah.
do you realize that you only need this God, this God idea when you aren't there? Right. And then and so the God, you don't depend on this God to watch and protect the child while you are there.
Yes.
Right. This is like it's you not being able, one, to accept what you don't have any ability to impact. Like what you cannot change. You cannot change that when your kids grow up and they go out and they start moving about and they're not within your rules in your house, that something bad might happen to them. That's what happens because things bad happen to the kids even when they're in our care, right? It's a false sense of hope. And what you're saying is you are saying that you depend on um, what you think could be a lie in order to give you hope. And so you're saying that there is hope um, in things that are not
I,
true.
So,
Because then if something
okay,
happens to
so
them while you're not away, one second. If something happens to your children while they are away from you, are you going to then blame the God? Are you then going to blame the fact that this thing that you are hoping in to protect them and say why, that it did not do its job? Or are you then going to say, well, that's life?
so yeah, that's exactly what I get anxiety for, right? Personally, if you ask me, I would say like uh, there is existence of any gods haven't been proven yet, but uh, uh,
But what? Hold on. What can you? Hold
it's,
on, Raj. Hold on. I need you to answer my question because I'm trying to understand. Like, if you're going to depend on this God idea to give you peace of mind while your children are out ripping and running in the streets, going to parties, going to school, going to work, and if something happens while they are under this false hope that you believe is protecting them or watching over them, are you then going to blame that thing that you're drawing this false hope from for them being harmed while they were under the protection of this hope? Who gets the blame?
yes,
You are going to blame it?
yeah. I mean, it's
No. So who
I
gets the
would say it's
blame
a
if they get
difficult
hurt?
question.
Hold on. Who gets the blame? Like where does where do your thoughts move if they get hurt while they're under this false hope, while you're hoping that God is protecting them? And if they get hurt, where do your thoughts go then? Like, why did they get hurt? What gets the blame then?
Personally, yeah. Uh, Personally, I don't want to think about it because, like I said, it gives an anxiety. But uh, 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 I do not want my kids to be harmed, right? So thinking about that situation, not believing, is it helping much is my problem, is what I would say. Like, if I don't believe, then oh,
Do you think parents who have children that have been harmed is because they didn't believe in a God?
sorry, can you repeat that?
Do you think parents who have lost children or have had children get in car accidents or break a leg while they're not with their child, do you think it's because that parent didn't pray to a God?
Uh, no, it could be an accident, right? Like they're taking good care, but still they're not. Things happen, right? Like even I fall, I get accident. I, I had a fracture in my hand. Like things do happen, right?
So if you can recognize that a parent is not at fault when their child is away from them and gets into an accident or gets harmed, then I don't see why you can't do that for yourself. Like I don't see a need
Uh,
in telling people to believe in things that are false in order for them to get peace, because the peace is a lie, right? I'm not sure if you believe in Jesus or what are you Hindu? Like, what do you believe? What's the God you believe in?
uh, I'm an Hindu, but like it's not like a specific God I would believe. But uh, recently I spoke to a guru. What he mentioned is uh, his stand was you cannot, like, God always lives in the dark. You may or you can neither prove his existence or cannot prove his existence. What you can do is do the best for what you're created. Like your responsibilities, your kids, taking care of your mother, have a good life, happy life, and do what you enjoy and do what you think is right. So do what the best you're meant to do, and uh, that actually gave me a comfort. Now, so I don't know whether there is a God or not, but believing, if it gives a peace of mind, what's wrong in it? Like in that sense, I
Because
would
it's
ask.
not true. Because it's not true. And you're telling people to lean on things that are not true. And then when that thing fails, the anxiety gets worse. Like you're not thinking about the aftermath of this, of believing in this lie. Right? Like I know someone who had cancer, and they were waiting and hoping and believing in the Christian God to heal them, to the point to where they chewed their nails off waiting and wondering why the God had not done what they had faith in. They believed their whole life what they were taught, you know, that if they believed, they prayed. One second. They believed, they prayed, and the God would do it because he could do above and exceedingly anything that you can never ask or think. And then eventually she just accepted. A couple of days before she died, she just accepted that the God was not going to heal her. But she went through so much anxiety and depression of hoping and getting disappointed, and while she was going through her treatment. I don't think people think about the aftermath of this false hope and what it actually does, and to the mind of the person who is hoping in this thing, when it does not do what you're telling them that they should hope in.
Yeah, I agree to it, but like that cannot be the case in every scenario, right? Like when uh, people celebrate Christmas or Diwali, we enjoy with them. I may not believe in Jesus, but I have celebrated with, had a good time with my
How is celebrating
Christian
Christmas the
friends.
same thing as hoping that there's a God protecting your child while they're out driving? I
I
don't
mean,
understand.
no, I agree what you're saying, but saying that it is not true every time may not be beneficial, right? Like having a good time at Christmas, I cannot go to my friends and say, Jesus is not real. We shouldn't be celebrating this. Let's celebrate something else or do something else. So it I mean, it's not the right thing to do at that point, right? So I agree.
How are you? How
We
are
cannot show the existence.
I'm sorry.
I mean,
I'm sorry. I don't
I'm
understand what
sorry.
you, I'm sorry. I don't understand. And I need you to help me understand the last point you made. Like, why are you comparing this false hope to celebrating Christmas? Why are you comparing the two?
To for your last point, saying that it's not true, but saying
I
that it
said
may
hoping
or may
in
not
things
be
that
true that
I'm sorry. I said hoping in things that are not true. Stop. I said hoping in things that are not true, not celebrating things that are not true.
hope.
No, you
Okay.
are saying, listen, you are saying that it is a good thing and beneficial to hope that a God is protecting your children when they are not with you, or to hope that a God exists and can heal you when you are suffering, when you are dealing with a terminal illness. And when that doesn't happen, you are not thinking about the aftermath of that letdown, or the buildup, the anxiety while you are hoping and trying to see if a God is going to think that you're worthy enough, if a God is going to care enough, or if a God even just wants to do it. The anxiety is is worse. And the crazy thing is that you're saying that you're doing it because you have anxiety. That is not the same as saying I celebrate a holiday that was created for the birth of this false god that's really built around sitting with family members and eating turkey and opening gifts. But if you celebrate Christmas, how does that then create a ripple effect of anxiety and depression, letdowns? What are you hoping in by just celebrating the holiday? How are you comparing these two?
Okay, let me. Okay, I'll rephrase our understanding till now, if you agree with me. So my initial point, which I said, was for the safety of my kids, I get anxiety. When I'm with them, I can take care of them. When I'm not with them is when I get anxiety. For that, I use God or gods. Your counter was that's a false hope. When actually something bad will happen to your kids, it's worse, and you will have a bigger anxiety, is what you mentioned. And a rebuttal what you gave was you have seen people who have believed in gods, and when it came near, still things hadn't changed. And we shouldn't believe in such things because it is not true. There's no such thing as a god or gods. So that is it. So when you said there is no such thing as God, it is not true. But that specific point I was saying,
Hold
we
on.
cannot.
No, wait. What I said was you should not. Hold on. Like Raj, one thing about believers, you address one point regarding the God claim, and then they immediately go, "You said that there's no God. Like you have proved that there's no God. It's not true."
No,
right?
I'm sorry.
Yeah,
I don't mean to do
Raj,
that. No, I'm
Raj,
sorry.
Raj. What you and I discussed is whether or not it is beneficial to have this false belief that a God is protecting your child when they are not from harm when you are away from them. That's what you and I discussed.
Yeah.
Now,
Okay,
also, hold on, Rod. Wait. Also, the claim that a God is beneficial to stop you from suffering, or that a God wants you to suffer, right? That's a different claim. With one that I still think that a belief in a God increases suffering of humanity, because human beings do things based on what they think a God is saying or wants them to do. And they tend to be dangerous in that way. A lot of times they're abusive, verbally, physically, emotionally. Sometimes they get violent, right? So in my eyes, in my opinion, a belief in a God can increase suffering, not be something that benefits you.
I do have questions.
Go
Raj,
ahead, man.
You talked about anxiety.
Yes.
Are you in treatment for your anxiety?
No.
Okay. I don't know if you have access to treatment for anxiety, but I definitely recommend it. I'm wondering, maybe if we're not talking past each other a little bit, I don't think anybody is saying there's a problem with optimism. But if you have a baby and you're going to leave the house, should you get a babysitter, a professional one, have a friend or family member watch them, or trust that God will take care of that baby?
I'll get a babysitter.
Yeah. If you found out that somebody that you hired to watch that baby said, I'm just going to trust that God's going to look out for that baby and I'm going to go party, what would you think of that?
That would be unprofessional and
It would be
being
fucking
dishonest.
criminal. It would be criminal. That person should go to jail because they agreed to
Yes.
look after someone for money. And instead of doing it, they hoped that God would take care of it. And the reason it's criminal is because there is absolutely zero good evidence that any God anywhere ever in the history of the world has ever actively taken care of or helped out with anything ever. You are opting for false hope. But the problem is, you don't actually believe it, and you know that it's a problem. I think you're finding ways to try to self-treat your anxiety, your difficulties in dealing with the world. I agree with Thinker. God ain't the way to do it, and it's never. There is zero likelihood, based on all the information I've seen from everything that I've ever seen in the entire history of the universe. There is zero likelihood that your belief in a God will ever do anything more than give you false comfort.
Okay.
If you have some
So,
reason to think that the comfort is not false, I'd love to hear it.
uh, so, um, two things I would say while I'm thinking. One is uh, if taking, when I say like no one else is actively taking care of my babies when I'm not with them, it's giving me anxiety. Uh, uh, so one suggestion what you gave is professional help. I'll look into that. Uh, but I don't have an answer to like what will, like, other than taking the best care of them and what will happen to them when I'm not with them is what's bothering me, I would say.
So I'm pretty sure.
And I don't have an answer. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that Thinker's done the best job she can raising her kids. Why on earth would doing the best you can raising your kids ever involve trusting that a God will look out for them?
Uh, uh, so I don't know how to answer that. Like, if you can give me any solution, like to the question which you asked. I'm sorry. Like,
He's asking, why would trusting a God and be included in doing the best thing to raise your kids? Like with all the work that a parent does
because
to
it
raise
at
their
least
child and take care of
it,
their
at least
child.
it'll keep me
I'm
focused,
sorry.
right?
Is this really happening?
It'll at least keep me that all.
Let me finish. Hold on. Let me finish speaking.
Hang on, let her finish.
He's asking, like, with all the work that goes into raising your children, why would trusting a God be on that list? Trusting that a God will protect them be on that
Okay.
list when we know it's not true and it's giving you a false sense of comfort.
Okay. At least it will keep me grounded when my kids are not with me, so that I can take care of them better when I'm with them, and I'll be more focused on working on things which matters, right, rather than spending my time in anxiety.
But you're not really doing it for your kids. It's not really about protecting your kids. It's not really about doing the best thing for your kids. It's about you. It's to give you
Okay,
a peace of mind while
I
they
mean,
are away. Because the God, like you say, it's so that it's so that I have comfort. It helps me with my anxiety. It's not because I really believe God is going to protect them or God is going to like put a bubble around them if a car comes out of nowhere. Like I got a phone call in the middle of the night one night that my daughter had wrapped her car. Both my daughters was in the car. My niece and one of their friends. She had wrapped her car around a telephone pole. Like nothing, it protected her from that, right? I had to be I had to be mama bear, go into mama mode, right? Get up out of the bed, drive to where my daughter was, call the police, be there with her, right? Help get the car towed. What is a God actually doing? Like it's a false sense of comfort because right, that things could still happen even with you believing that this God is protecting them while they're away from you. And then if something did happen, you're going to go into daddy mode and you're going to do what you need to do to help your child. Like regardless, you have to move into a place of accepting its reality. Right?
yeah.
I'm wondering, I kind of
So,
have,
yeah.
go ahead.
I'm sorry, you were saying something.
Well, I have a follow-up question to this, but if I were to get a piece of paper and I would start to create a numbered list of things that I could do to protect my kids. And like, I don't necessarily know what the actual order would be. What, like, number one would be feed them a healthy diet, make sure that they have clothing and shelter, make sure that they know that they are loved and cared for. And then you start going down the list, and somewhere on the list, I'd put, putting those little plastic things in the outlets so that they don't stick a fork in them, and making sure that the cabinets that have dangerous chemicals are secured, and that there's no firearms loaded or otherwise anywhere around. We keep going there. Maybe sanding the corners off of things that they might bump into. We could keep going and going and going. What number do you think trust God would be on that list?
Uh, I wouldn't say God, but when
Okay, what number would trust Santa Claus be on
maybe
that list?
below the number where my control loses, right? Things which have done everything, there's a possibility I'll miss. So after everything, at the bottom, I'll put like have trust that things will work out.
Okay. So you'd put God dead last.
One thing.
Right? You just basically said you'd put God dead last.
Yeah.
Why would God even make the list? How many other things? Now make a list of all the other things that you do not have evidence exist that you would put on the list before God. Like, are you going to put Santa on the list?
No.
Are you going to make sure that your house is safe and protected from pixies and fairies?
No.
No. So those don't even make the list, but for some reason, God makes the list. Here's the thing. Would it make you feel better to think that there were magical fairies hovering around the crib of your child, watching out for them when you can't? Would that make you feel better?
No.
Then
Right.
why would a God
It's not
who you
real.
have no more evidence for and no more justification for believing, who you put bottom on the list, why would that make you feel better?
Because I'm not in control at that time.
You're not in control when the pixies are gathered around to watch them either, are you?
Yes.
You
It
are?
sounds like you love the hell out of your kids like and you want to be able to
I
control
mean,
every
yes,
aspect of.
I think I get the point. I need to think over it a little bit. What you say?
You need to look into some counseling and therapy. This is not in any way a slight. I have a therapist. Most of the people I know, especially the people who are getting better at dealing with things, have therapists. It's mental health is a serious thing. If your gallbladder was about to rupture, you'd go to a doctor. If you needed heart surgery, you'd go to a doctor. If there's something wrong with your psychological health, you need to go to a doctor. You need to go to an expert. Um, if you were to make a list, and here's an easy list the top 10 things you could do to help improve your own mental health. Could you list 10 things before you added pray?
Sorry, before I added what?
Before you added pray to God.
I don't know. No, who's saying? I don't know that. I think you made it up, right?
I'm saying if you were to list things that you could do that you think would be useful in improving your mental health, things like seeing a counselor, seeking medication, going for a walk, talking to a friend. Could you list 10 things that you think would be helpful to you before you added trust God or pray?
Oh, trust God. Okay. Well, I'm sorry, I misheard it. Okay. Uh, you want me to do it now or think about it later?
No, do you think that you could list 10 things before you felt like you needed to add trust God?
Yes.
Okay. Then you need to make that list and make sure you do at least all of those things before you trust God. Because we need to prioritize based on where the evidence points on how best to get help. It may be, I had triple bypass. I had open heart surgery after multiple heart attacks. I'm doing great. But if I listed all the things that I should do, one of them was to see a cardiologist. One of them was have the surgery. Another one would have been changing things about my diet. The other one would have been changing things about exercise. I could make a whole long list of things that I could do before I trusted God to fix my heart. How irresponsible would it be for me to skip that list and just trust God? I think that would be lunacy. And I think I'd be dead.
But what about after 10 things? Would you believe in God? Like, I mean, I'm not trying to troll. I'm like, there are
I
things
have
which
no
we cannot
reason to
control,
believe
right?
in a God.
Okay.
I'm only going to be able to believe something if there's evidence for it. I don't care if it's, matter of fact, not only do I not care if it's comforting, I would argue that if something is comforting and I don't have evidence for it, that is incredible evidence that something is incredibly wrong in my brain. That is clearly irrational. For me to say, this brings me comfort, even though I don't think it's real. And I'm not saying that can't be the case. For example, I have some friends who, well, I don't have to go to friends. Let's go to me. This week, the new Spider-Man movie comes out. I don't get to go see it this week. I've been desperately trying to dodge spoilers because some people saw it early. Seeing the movie on opening day provides me comfort because then people don't ruin shit as much for me. But I'm going to have to wait until next Tuesday to see it. I really like the Marvel cinematic universe and Marvel stuff in general. None of the characters in there are real, but they bring me comfort. I'm not being brought comfort by something that isn't real. I'm being brought comfort by real stories that reflect real characteristics of other people. People are good, people are bad, people want to help others. All of that provides me comfort because it is a reflection of what we see. There are people who, for example, are furries. They get some sort of experience, some sort of value out of portraying some sort of fictional furry character. They're not really that. And sorry if I'm not sorry if I offended you. If you think you're really a fox when you're in the fox outfit, you need some help too, but you're probably not hurting anybody. It's possible to get comfort from things that are tied to other things that ultimately aren't true. And so I understand why people would be comforted by the possibility that somebody cares, even if it feels like nobody does care. I can understand why that would be comforting. But if it turns out you're wrong, if it turns out there isn't someone that actually cares, then all that hope did was give you an excuse to not focus on the actual problem. It allowed you to pretend and lie to yourself that you don't have to worry about that when you absolutely do. And I'm not saying this because I'm not trying to stir up your anxiety. You need to get some help for your anxiety. But there are better ways and worse ways of coping with stress, anxiety, depression, grief, trauma, abuse. There are good ways and bad ways of dealing with those. And as somebody who bottled some things up without ever knowing it, figuring out how to handle those things responsibly, getting the tools that you need to rethink how you think is absolutely critical. I genuinely hope that you find a way to get some therapy. Nobody can tell you. You either are going to believe in God for real, or you're going to pretend to believe in God, or you're going to be comforted by it, or you're not. But I don't see how something I don't believe in, like I have no reason to think it's even possible that a God is looking out for me, any more than I think there's a God that wants to hurt me. I don't think anybody's God could give me so much as a hangnail. And the fact that I've been sitting here as a former believer for more than 2 decades, talking mad shit at every God out there, and the closest any of them ever might have got was a failed heart attack. Otherwise, I'm still here. I'm still ticking. I'm still kicking. I got nothing to fear. And it seems like none of these gods are willing to send good defenders of their views. All the good defenders, or all the best defenders, have been so thoroughly beaten down. All of the professional apologists, they're busy interacting with each other and trying to make money teaching other people how to avoid the actual evidence the way they have. And what you've done is you've suffered some trauma, some anxiety. I don't know what else going on. I don't want to pretend to, and I'm not an expert. But it seems like instead of getting good help or not having the opportunity to get good help, I don't know, maybe you don't have any hope or any opportunity to get good help. It seems like you're just trusting whatever somebody suggested might make you not have to focus on the problem. And I will say that I know you don't realize this. I know it's not intentional. I know there's a delay on the line. But people in chat noticed, and I've been paying attention. I understand there's difficulties with the tech, but you have interrupted me perhaps not once in the entire time that I've been sitting here giving you a miniature sermon. And yet you repeatedly interrupted thinker. I'd look into that as well. Don't get me wrong. I'm the king of interrupting, but I'm an equal opportunity offender, I would say. I think there may be some baggage related to interacting with certain types of people compared to certain other types of people. I'm not saying that you're misogynistic or racist or bigoted. We don't know. But we all observed where you're more comfortable interjecting and interrupting and where you're not. And I think that along with the anxiety, is something you should probably talk to a counselor about.
Okay. Uh, so I didn't interrupt you because by that time I think most of the conversation with Thinker was done, and I think we both, I felt like we both were not having say similar ground, or maybe I was not understanding what she's saying, and I had a feeling that she is not able to understand what I was saying. But for you, I think I don't know. I felt like you did.
Hey, Raj, you should stop.
Not like
I'm going to interrupt you now. You should stop. We don't need you to try and figure it out right now and explain it or anything. Nobody's putting any blame there. It could be any number of things. It may be an actual problem. It may not. I just brought it up because a lot of people noticed. And since you're now in a position where you should be considering getting some counseling, you might want to put that on the list of things to discuss, because you might have, like I did and other people did, some baggage you're unaware of.
I think also, like, I approached the conversation from, you're supposed to be trying to convince me why I should believe in a false hope, approach life this way, and not necessarily me understanding why you do it, right? Like I stated that I understood why, but I also stated the problems that come along with it. Like, that's what this conversation is about. Like, we're not here to have tea and crumpets. And so I did not approach this as like me, giving you advice on your anxiety, right? And so I think that we might have been talking past each other in that way, in that I'm defending the claim that this is something beneficial, which is what you said when you called in. This is something beneficial to do. I'm a mother of 4 and a grandmother of 2. when my kids leave the house, I don't know what's going to happen. Anything is possible. And I understand wanting to be in control, but the reality is that you cannot. You cannot be in control. And that is something that, I had to accept and learn to deal with. That when they leave the house, I give them instructions. Don't drink and drive. Don't make sure that everybody has their seatbelts on. My 18-year-old came and picked up my 2-year-old grandson. Don't be on your cell phone. You have precious cargo in the car. That's like all I can do is remind them, right, of the situations, the consequences. I tell my daughter, hold your head up when you walk in public. Don't look down at your phone. Be aware. Straighten your back. Walk with confidence so that people don't think you're a pushover and they try to, walk up and grab you and they think that you're not paying attention. All I can do is teach them how to operate in this scary world when I'm not around. But I have to accept that I cannot control it. I don't have anything that can control it. I understand being a parent, but I approach the conversation from a debate. Does that make sense?
Yeah, okay. So I get that, and but I was thinking more like we are having a discussion than a debate. Okay, fine. But I didn't have any misogynist feeling, which you guys are saying. That's all I want to say. Before the call, Matt was already looked very upset with the previous caller. So I thought it's a wise idea not to interrupt him also. I don't know what it is, but that could have been one of the reasons. But thanks for the advice. Can I cut you off?
I'm sorry, what you said? Can you what?
I mean, I think we had a decent discussion. So it's very early morning in India. I need to go to office also.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for calling in. I don't know if Matt has anything else he wants to say to you.
Nope.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks. Yeah.
You're welcome. Good luck.
Yeah. I'd recommend reaching out to recoveringfromreligion.org and psychotherapy, although you're in India, and I don't know what the limits on that would be. I do want to say there's somebody in chat who just typed in, Matt, you cuckold. Could you call in? And I don't know what cuckold means. Could you call in and explain to me? Thanks.
All right, I'm gonna hop in. Oops, sorry, hold on. My audio doubled up because I'm in the screener. Hold on, give me a second. Almost ready. Okay, so I wanted to hop in and talk to you guys really quickly about LionCon coming up this Saturday. We've got a LionCon at the usual time, 3 p.m. Central Time. And we're going to have 3 people there this weekend, including Thinker. So I hopefully you're aware of that, and Javi's not just sprung that on. Okay, yeah, sprung that on you right now. I was like, oh my god, that would be horrible. So if you guys want to check out LionCon, that is our like semi-monthly. Sometimes we double them up because we miss a month. Event we do here at the Lion for patrons of the $15 and up tier, where you get access to a like 2-hour-long event with 3 speakers, each about 20 minutes, and then about an hour-long Q&A portion after, where they all give a little presentation on a topic that they are passionate about. I know Jovan is doing, I think it's a presentation to radicalize your uncle. John Gleason will be doing how to read, study, and question the Bible. And then Thinker will be doing a talk. I'm not sure. I don't know if I've gotten your topic yet or if that's been sorted out. That's totally fine.
I haven't decided yet, but
Okay.
Good for you.
No worries. But yeah, so if you want to hear those talks and maybe ask some questions, get some conversation in with those hosts, please do consider going to patreon.com/calltheline. $15 and up tier gets access to the live event, and then there will be a playback available for the rest of the patrons. I think a $5 and up, I can't remember. It's been a while since we established those rules available. So yeah, that is going to be a thing you guys can do. Also, if you are, I think there's a playback available to all patrons, including the free tier of the Zoom that Jimmy did today at 4, which was talking about our new LinePod newsroom app, which is basically kind of like a similar to Reddit kind of news app that we will be using to integrate into our new iteration of the Lions podcast. So you can both be a part of our community and get some like left-leaning like news and be a part of our podcast all in kind of one thing. So if you want to go be a part of that, you can check that out on our patreon.com/calltheline. Really sorry about the dearth of calls. We've got like 1,000 viewers across both active streams, so I don't really know what's going on. I've had like 20 different atheists calling in being like, I want to talk about why Christians believe what they do. And I've not even screened those motherfuckers. I don't want to hear that shit. You don't believe it. Fuck off.
Can I hop in for a second and put this person live just for a second and then let you continue?
Sure, go for it.
Hey, Andrew.
Yes.
I don't give a fuck about that topic and never will.
What do you mean? What topic?
You said you wanted to discuss Friedrich Nietzsche's child philosophy. I don't care.
Yeah.
Thanks for calling.
Okay.
The thing,
Okay, go
everyone
ahead.
wants to
Sorry.
give a book report today. We don't need a book
Yeah.
report. We want believers to call in and defend what they believe. I don't care
I'm
if
still
you're an
waiting on
atheist
that person to
who
define
wants to
cuckold.
yeah. Andrew's calling back already. Bro, take a hint.
Wait.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No.
No. I wasn't going to put him back live. It's just here. Hi. We're here to have people defend positions that they think we should share, specifically those related to religion or philosophy, or sorry, politics and spirituality and whatever else. If you want to call in and give a book report on what you thought about Nietzsche's idea to kill God in your mind, no, call some other show. I have zero interest. I don't even have interest in Nietzsche's thoughts on it, let alone your thoughts on Nietzsche's thoughts on it. People are going to need to figure this out. I know that I've only been doing this for 22, 23 years. I don't care to ever have a conversation where I sit around and wax philosophical about what some person happened to say. I'm happy to discuss ideas. I am never, ever impressed by anyone dropping a name, giving a book report, telling me what they've learned, speculating. None of that is of any interest to me. I'm a philosophy geek in the sense of I care about epistemology, interesting thought experiments, things that can teach us stuff, but not, ooh, here's what Nietzsche said. Here's what so-and-so said. I'm probably a bad person for doing that. I'm probably stupid for having that view. I'm probably not truly someone who likes or enjoys philosophy for having that view. But you know what I am? Honest. And I have zero interest in that conversation. So rather than letting somebody stay on hold for all that time, who wants to call in and have a discussion on a show that is absolutely 100% never here to just have a discussion about whatever thing you thought of. I don't even know if we disagree. Like, I'd rather never take a call from people I agree with, or at least not from people wanting to talk about a topic we agree with. We started the thing like that. If you're not calling, a lot of my friends when they're doing live streams. I'm at it, I think Justin's live right now and several others. And what a lot of them do, they're like, hi, can you give me your name or your age and pronouns and which topic would you like to discuss? We're taking, calls that, or I forget the exact language that they would use for that, but it's, contentious calls only or whatever. I appreciate the fact that people wanted to have a discussion with me. Hire me. That's not what this is. So is there, and did we get results on that poll?
It was like 70% said you did not crash out. So.
No. The poll about if there's an honest 4%.
Oh.
So we're a little under 1,000, and so 4%. Let's see. That's going to be. That means there's about
votes.
There's 71 people who say yes. I'm an honest theist in chat, willing to defend their views, and there are 0 calls. We have 8 lines open, and that means 70 some odd people flatly lied. And if you're out there and you're, I don't know what type of theist, maybe your type of theism doesn't have a problem with lying. Mine did. When I was a Christian, one thing I'm going to start reminding the Christians of who can't seem to answer yes or no questions is that the Bible says, let your yes be yes and your no be no. And it's just wild.
Yep. It's something that I experience a lot on my live. I'll have like 900 people sitting in the live and nobody coming up, but they're all in the chat talking shit. And I'm like, what you ain't, like y'all sitting here listening 900 strong, but won't come up and discuss any of it.
We know why. Mm-hmm. I've done this for decades, and there's a lot of things that are happening in this particular realm of online debates and debating. The first thing is that everybody knows that there is no sound argument supported by evidence for a God. There are people who are confused about it, and that's who you're likely going to get calls because they know that it doesn't fit my criteria. But when we're talking about what's sound epistemology, we get that. The apologists know that they are not going to ever look good sitting down with somebody like you or somebody like me. The people who are doing this as apologists, because they want to get their YouTube money, they want to get their $250,000 down payment for their house. They know that it is not in their best interest to engage honestly with people like you and I, or you and me. So that means that of the apologists, we're going to get the ones that are the most confused, the least rational, and the ones who don't even understand that when you say, do you have evidence for the spirit world? Under no circumstances is it evidence for the spirit world to talk about what somebody said, or that they had a tattoo, or that there's an occult image in a song or a video or a musical. They don't understand the nature of evidence. They don't understand the nature of nature. So then you get the trolls. And by trolls, I don't just mean here's some theists being assholes. I mean atheists being assholes too. We've turned this into not just a sport, but it's all about clicks and attention and amusement. And so if there's a clip that gets 1 million views because somebody's being a douche on it, everybody wins, assuming you're part of the everybody that has been doing this for money. You see, I have 200 and some odd thousand subscribers on my personal channel, which wasn't even monetized until a year or so ago, year and a half ago, when I reached 200,000. And I specifically did not monetize my YouTube channel because I was working for a nonprofit and because I did not want to give anyone the excuse or impression oh, Matt's not serious. He's just in this for the clicks and the money. And it turns out I left, and this is not an exaggeration, millions of dollars out there because YouTube wasn't promoting what I did. I've complained about this before. It was a really bad idea, but it was about integrity. Financially, it was stupid as fuck. But when it comes to, hey, I care about this, it was the right move. Now, when I'm here saying, okay, still care, but I'm going to make a buck too. Now I could take the most ridiculous callers. I could do, like, I love Jovan, but when Jovan gets an obvious troll on there, he just plays with him cat and mouse. And that's why I did the, ooh, what does cuckold mean? I really wish that person would have called in to defend it and tell me what cuckold means, because I think they're wrong. I was watching Jovan this morning and he had somebody on with anti-trans stuff. I think I'm probably just going to do a Wednesday night show where it's just like anti-trans calls only. Just because. But he had a caller, and the caller's like, well, it's about your chromosomes. And Jovan did something that is brilliant because we're dealing with people who don't have a clue. And he was like, which chromosomes make you a woman? And the caller said, XY. And he was like, oh, I'm fine with that. I didn't know I was going to have my gender changed today, but it was great. It is. And then the caller figured out what's going on. He's like, if you're born with a dick, you're a dude. And I'm like, man, this dude spends a lot of time thinking about dicks and dudes and worrying about, excuse me, what are my chromosomes, sir? How did you know? When did you find out? Do you know? And by the way, how did you figure things out before you even knew what chromosomes were? Not you, but your ancestors. They seem to know about, gender. But that doesn't mean, I don't know. We seem to have social constructs that are viable. We had a caller and they ran away.
They were obviously a fucking faker. They had this really fake Southern drawl they kept putting on, and they kept, after every single sentence, they would say, honey and shug. And they were just, it was the most obviously put on thing ever. So I called them on it, and then they just kind of stuttered for like 30 seconds. And I was like, yeah, okay, goodbye.
Yeah. Well, you know what? I'm not going to waste any more of my audience's time. What does the original cuckold mean? It comes from the cuckoo bird because they'll take care of other birds' nests and eggs. That's kind of the result. There's one call coming in now. If it's legit, we'll take it. And if not, we're going to super chats, because you know what? I'm heading to NanoCon this weekend. And while you guys will be able to watch the Transatlantic Call-In show tomorrow afternoon, I probably won't, because on a 14-hour drive, which I'm going to spread out over a couple of days, I'm going to be working on fine-tuning and revising the nearly 2-hour magic show that I'm putting together, or have put together, for NanoCon. And if you don't have your tickets, you might be out of luck, but you can go to nanocon.rocks for more information about that. There were a few other conventions coming out. Somebody in chat said they're calling now, so we'll see how that goes. But BajaCon is August 21st through 23rd in Sarnia, Ontario. AhaCon, that's the American Human Association convention, is September 19th. It's an online convention, so you can go over and check out American Humans to find out more about that. October 23rd through 25th is Rocket City Reason in Huntsville, Alabama. And you can go to rocketcityreason.com for more information about that. I know, honey, you're going, right?
Yeah, to Rocket City Reason. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry, I said honey, and Thinker nodded, and I was like,
because
that's
you
awesome.
pointed, you're pointing up, and I'm in the screen. I'm above you, and I'm like,
oh, that's good.
yeah. And I'm like, yeah.
In this scene, we're side by side, and I wouldn't call you honey without confirming that's appropriate at all. So yeah, Arden will definitely be at Rocket City Reason. I may be, if I'm able to get animals taken care of and everything else. But all right, I guess the person who said they were calling didn't.
Well, here's the thing. that person, I'm assuming, because that was the only number that came in, also called a second ago and said they just wanted to chat. And I was like, that's not what we do here. We need you to have a specific topic. And they were like, okay, let me think. And I was like, no. And they called like 30 seconds later from that number. And I don't think they came up with an actually substantive topic in that time where you guys disagree on anything. So I would like to
It's
have a
weird.
real theist caller, but it
It'd be
seems like
nice.
they're just not willing to call in today.
Somebody asked what the original meaning of cuckold was, and I said so, and then they said that's not the original meaning of cuckold. Well, I, I don't know what to tell you, but just to double check, I went over to Wikipedia and it says history of the term. The word cuckold derives from the cuckoo bird, alluding to its brood parasitism or tendency to lay its eggs in the nest of other birds. The association is common in medieval folklore, literature, and iconography. So I cited my source, cite yours. Somebody else asked, I'm going to answer one question in chat, then we're going to supers. Matt, is James Randi your favorite conjurer? No, in part because he's no longer alive. For a while, he was easily one of them. I have way too many. I was going to say I have way too many favorite conjurers or potentially favorite conjurers. But I will say, I was reminded just yesterday that there is one person in the magic community that I admire and respect probably more than any other magician. And I was reminded how pleased I am that we are friends. And that is Sean Farquhar, who's the two-time world champion of magic, the inventor of tons of stuff, multiple-time Penn and Teller Fooler, and the person who helped me work through some details on a trick that I'm doing this weekend, and who performed a magic show alongside me and Mary Hatfield, or actually, I performed as an intro to the world champion. So James Randi and I did an event where we sat down and talked, and Randy did a trick, and then Randy went out and sat in the audience, and then myself and Sean and Murray did a three-man show, and it was phenomenal because those other two guys were there, and they didn't allow me to stomp all the way through it and make it awful. But genuinely, Sean is one of the best people I know, and so thanks a lot for the help. And yeah, he gets listed as my favorite. Are we ready for supers?
Yeah. Sorry, chat. I wish we had more calls, but I don't know what happened today.
Let's
Give
get
me
some
one
supers. You guys can make up for it. I have a 14-hour drive. I have all kinds of stuff. I'm gonna have to sweep in a truck. I can't even get me a hotel. I'm going to sleep in a truck. So you don't have to chip in to get me a hotel room. But if you want to chip in so that, maybe I can eat somewhere other than McDonald's on this trip. Anyway, first super chat, alias Shauna Silverbow says, they tell you should just say no to drugs, but if I'm talking to drugs, I probably already said yes. Seems legit.
Let's see. The nerds are in the building, as always. Thank you, AG. Welcome. Thank you, nerds, for being here. Appreciate y'all.
Arden, are you putting these up, or do you want me to?
I was assuming you usually like to do it yourself.
Yep.
Okay.
Tonight's snack, homemade Subian dorayaki. You should be extremely jealous because they are the best snack I have ever made. Joshua, I don't know what that is, but I'm so curious. I'm wondering if maybe I should. Oh, it's a Japanese confection consisting of 2 small pancake-like patties made from castella, wrapped around. I said it like it was Mexican. Wrapped around a filling of sweet azuki bean paste. Sweet. Well, thanks for sharing. I can't wait to try them one of these days. When are you coming over?
For years, I've been sick of stories like so and so totally destroyed by somebody. If they were destroyed, they wouldn't still be talking.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Trump hasn't been destroyed. The apologists haven't been destroyed. They've just been defeated.
Mhm.
They'll keep coming back. Host, 2 + 2 = 4 factorial. I'm sorry, bad math joke on my part. I had to do that. But 2 + 2 = 4. Caller, I see where you're going with this, but I disagree. It is absolutely wild how many times over the last couple of decades I've created an example of a logical argument that is impossible to object to. I can make it completely free of content. Just A's and B's. Premise 1, A = B. Premise 2, B = C. Therefore, A = C. And what will happen is somebody will complain that it's not valid when it definitely is. Somebody will agree that it's valid, but then when you substitute in things for A and B, they'll be like, oh, well, that changes it. No, it doesn't. They don't. We have failed. We have consistently dumbed down the world by failing our education system. We're not teaching the basics of skepticism, critical thinking, logic, any of it.
Yep, I agree. Is this the right one? Phil bros suck and need to stop the BS.
I don't know where that one came from.
Wait, are you?
Oh, are you setting some of them live?
No, I'm not. It should be filtering to only $10 and up. So I don't know where
I
that
was
one came.
filtering to 10 and up, but evidently some.
No, I didn't. I didn't filter it.
Oh,
My
okay.
bad.
No,
That's
no
all right.
worries.
Yeah.
I'll filter it for 5 and up, so we're still going there. Boom, boom, boom. So we did Phil Bros suck. Let's do John can't answer the questions because he has tinfoil in his ears. Pose law in action with racist shitbag. I don't know. Did he say something expressly racist? Because I don't know that. But thanks, Gertrude. And then that was the one that I'd put it on. That was Carla. Thank you so much. Thank you for great content. You're very welcome. I appreciate it. So now I've got it set to 5 and up.
My bad. I'm sorry. When we're on the line, I didn't know that you were doing it. I apologize.
No, you're good.
Okay.
We should do dollar up for the next hour and just take them all. But
okay, and then the king of false advertising and over exaggerated claims, religion, George Carlin. Oh, how I wish we could hear his commentary on current events.
maybe. I loved Middle George. There was a period of time where George was both insightful and funny. And later on, he was just insightful and angry. And I'm not complaining. I understand why. And I think his thoughts would be great. Lewis Black's another one that, might have some insight. But at this point, the world no longer makes sense. And so the insight from those folks, it'd be great, but I think we're just cooked. And I don't know what will change things. Have you seen the SpongeBob "This Must Be Your Wallet" meme? It's so accurate to what you just said. No, I have not, but I'm sure Arden will show it to me later.
Thinker speaks. Raj opens his mouth. He wants no parts of her.
Yeah, I can't, I can't read people's minds. I will pretend to read people's minds on stage this weekend, and I'm pretty good at pretending it. But I can't actually read people's minds. I can't necessarily know what was intended or what prejudice or bigotry lies in there. And I've always said that I want people just comfortable enough to identify themselves, identify their bigotry specifically, no matter what it is. I want them just comfortable enough to identify it so we know who they are, so that we don't end up amplifying the sort of behind the scenes undercurrent of bigotry, whether it's, gender based or race based or whatever. But I feel like I have an obligation to use all the bucket loads of privilege that I have to do the best to be a better person than perhaps I used to be, and definitely better than I once cared to be. Yeah, you got to speak up for everybody, and instead of just going with the "you're awful," which is I'm fine with quite often when it's very obvious. Um, it might, on occasion, be doing something like what I did with Raj, which is, "You did this. Look into that."
Dropped in but can't stay. I'll watch tomorrow. I'll share info that needs more visibility. Science communicator. At Professor Dave explains, just put out a deep dive video. Destiny loves genocide about Zionism and the genocide. Love to all, and stay safe.
I watched like half of it today. I mean, not that I haven't reviewed every single thing. It is like a fire hose of information, and it would be like impossible for I think for anyone to go through and check every single thing he said. I know a lot of it I've heard before and has been verified before, but yeah, it was I think a pretty good video on the whole. But like I said, I only saw like half of it. It was like almost 2 hours long.
Is that on YouTube? Is that his handle on YouTube or?
Yeah, Professor Dave explains. Yep.
I don't know Dave well at all. I think we've done something here on the line once upon a time.
A couple things. He's been here for a few of our fundraisers too.
But he and I haven't done like a show together, and I don't know, or if we did, I don't recall, and I'm sorry. And I don't know Mona. Put a poll up real quick. We're going through supers. Should we get Super Dave? Super Dave Osborne. Should we get Professor Dave on a hang up sometime? Because that would be actually interesting. I've actually I've debated Destiny, which means I've interacted more with Destiny than I have with Dave. And Destiny, I debated on abortion, and all he did was agree with me. So I was unimpressed either by his position or ability. I do not pay any attention to him, so I wouldn't really know how much he loves him some genocide. But maybe I'll look into it. Here we go. All right. Be safe, Matt. Hope to see you sometime. Thank you very much. Love to everyone at the line. Thank you, the Atheist Mechanic. Always kind and great to see you as well. Oh, this is a hard one. I don't know how to pronounce those. Trans flag, gay flag. We'll go with that. Here's one you can actually read.
If you have a P.O. box, I would be happy to send you the next batch of dorayaki I make.
I don't have a P.O. box. Would it actually keep, though, in that? We'll figure it out someday, because I like trying new foods. I grew up in a stereotypical meat and potatoes family in the Midwest. Trust me, my relatives can cook. Like, everybody's like, oh, my family can cook. We got this best recipe here. We got the best. Yeah, my family's got some great food, chef quality homemade stuff that's just yummy. However, the number of things that I'd never tried or tasted or considered tasting before I left and joined the Navy is staggering. Completely unaware of things. And that goes for everything from we never ate Chinese food, never ate Japanese food, never ate Korean food, never really ate fish, never ate I don't know. And now I'll eat anything. I will try anything after being in the Navy, and Austin has such good food. You can't name a genre of food that Austin doesn't have just a world-class restaurant in that category. Billy Sipes. Oh, thank you so much, man. It's incredibly generous. Get a good dinner on me, Matt. I will do, and it's much appreciated. I won't even pretend I wasn't lobbying for dinner money, since I was.
Thank you all for doing what you do. Which version of the Bible would you recommend reading in regards it being accurate? What easy to read, as well as resources to use while reading it. The Bible that I recommend for people who's just not like really starting to read and study is the New Revised Standard Updated Edition. Which short is NRSVUE. It's pretty accurate. What do you think? What do you use?
I don't even know if it'd show up. Let me check the source here. Nope, I'm not going to be able to get the source up. I've talked before. I use a tool called E-Sword, and you can go to e-sword.net to download it. I think you may be able to get it for free, but it is a utility that I use. You can see it in the latest video that I posted. Oh, but you want to be able to access that video until it goes live to everybody else, unless you're a patron. If you go to patreon.com/atheistdebates, you can see my video on 2 Samuel. It's a tool called E-Sword, and I use it because I have, I don't know, at a rough guess, it looks like 50 different Bible translations there. And also I have Bibles in Greek, Hebrew, and not that I have any expertise, but I want to be able to cross-reference different dictionaries and different Bibles and different terms in them. So while I've got a KJV 1611, I also have a KJV expanded where you can look up the individual Hebrew and Greek words. And then another KJV, but also I think I tend to go for the ERV and the ESV more often.
Why is that?
Just because it's on the bottom row and it's in plain English, and I'm trying to do a video that can appeal to almost anybody.
Mm.
And also, I don't have any of the New Revised Standard on this list. But I also don't have NIV because it's copyrighted, and I don't want to pay another $50 to get another copy. I have an NIV sitting somewhere on either side. Anyway, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. You have no way of knowing how accurate it is to the original or what the original is. And until somebody gives you a way to identify, here's what this verse actually means, and here's how you can know it's true, it's largely irrelevant unless you're engaging with particular believers on something, apart from knowing the nuts and bolts. And what you're going to find is, or what I found, anytime I referenced a specific Bible version, whoever I was talking to preferred a different one and wouldn't accept anything other than theirs. So when I'm in a situation like this, I would rather them identify their version and read their version and go from that. In the broader sense, when you talk to Justin, you talk to anybody who knows, it definitely matters. There are some that aren't even in the ballpark of reliably accurate, even to the oldest and best sources. I just don't spend that much time on it. And I spend a lot of time on the Bible. I spent 4 hours yesterday just in 2 Samuel, and I used KJV, ERV, ESV. I used the 2 different Hebrew Old Testament because I wanted to double check just dictionaries. I don't read Hebrew, but I can look it up. And also the CEV. I had the Common English Version up because it was handy, and I want to make sure when you start content alert, trigger warning, 2 Samuel talks about sexual assault. Frankly. And I wanted to make sure that the words used there were very clear so that somebody didn't say, you're calling it this. Like they do this all the time. You call it slavery, but the Bible calls it, indentured servitude or whatever. Yeah, depending on which one you pick. But by the way, that's not moral either. And what difference does it make if you call it? If at the end of the day, you're saying that God permits you to own another person's property and beat them and pass them on to somebody else, I don't care if you call it giving them bubble gum. It's fucking wrong. And so,
yeah.
Hey, we gave them bubble gum. Well, that sounds really good. Let's paint this pig. All right. That is all we've got today on the show. Thanks everybody for tuning in. Thank you so much, Thinker, for joining us. Thanks to Arden for producing, to all of our call screeners and moderators. You guys make sure you tune in. Go watch Thinker stuff. Have a great week. If you're coming to NanoCon, please come by and say hi. Don't be scared. I don't bite unless I'm asked and given permission, and probably not even then, because I'm not too keen on what you taste like.